Welcome to the Mass TLC Security Community Coffee With, featuring members of the community sharing their insights and perspectives on pressing security and security operations for your company. I'd like to thank our security community sponsors, Devo, Nuance, PwC, Sonatype, and Vectra, and the Mass TLC Global sponsors for supporting our efforts throughout the year.
Good morning. I'm Kevin O'Brien, and this is the third in our Coffee With series with the Mass Technology Leadership Council. I am the CEO and co-founder of GreatHorn, a cloud-based email security company, and I'm joined today by Deb Briggs, who is the Chief Security Officer at NETSCOUT. As you can see, we're all still working from home. Deb joins us from her basement SOC center. Deb obviously is joining us from the offices at NETSCOUT. Deb, welcome.
Well, thank you, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. So in this series, what we do is sit down for 3 to 5 minutes and have quick conversations with security leaders in and around the New England and Massachusetts area. Really excited to have a conversation today queued up around ransomware. Deb, obviously it's in the news, but would you mind just sort of leading off and giving some orientation to where we sit today as we think about what's going on in the ransomware world?
Yeah, so Kevin, I mean, it's interesting. On my way in, I picked up the Wall Street Journal, and the headline today, there wasn't something about ransomware, but we've seen more and more during this pandemic that ransomware just continues to happen, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know why. Is people make money off of it. So as long as people continue to make money off of ransomware, it's going to continue to happen.
Yeah, I was reading the news this morning and seeing that there's this ongoing set of investigations, and we're seeing ransomware is now one of the attack types that's being used by foreign nationals and foreign governments against American companies. So there's this strong economic component to it, right? And so as we're recording this, Russia just, we think, took down the REvil ransomware malware group. But, obviously the pandemic changed a lot for many organizations with respect to the threat surface. What kinds of trends are you seeing?
Well, it's so a couple of things. So as a CISO, on a quarterly basis, I have to report up to the board. I can tell you it's a board conversation. Cybersecurity has been a board conversation for a while, but boards are really interested in what you are doing about ransomware and how you are protecting yourself against it. Some of those ransomware statistics that I learned when we were doing this coffee with you is the average downtime of ransomware is 21 days, and then the average days to total recovery is almost 300 days. That's almost like a whole year to completely recover. And when the board hears statistics like this, they want to know what you're doing. In 2020, people who did ransomware, they made $350 million. I mean, why wouldn't they continue to do it? It's been really successful. And, if you're successful at doing something and raising millions of dollars, why wouldn't you continue to do it? So this trend is going to continue to increase. I think some of the statistics say that in 2020, ransomware doubled. In 2021 is right on target for that same thing. So, if you take Reveal down, someone else is going to pop up in their place. And that's just what's happening. So as a CISO or a security community, we just, we have to get better. And, it's you can be right at 99 times, but that one time you're wrong. If it's ransomware, it's a lot of sleepless nights to recover.
Yeah, I mean, I think we see that in all parts of the security framework right now, which is ransomware to credential theft to phishing attacks to sort of all of these different elements that the CISOs whom we work with are saying are board level conversations. And in part, the problem has become more difficult because we're all hybridized, working from home, working remotely, and now struggling to figure out what that attack surface looks like. Often when I talk to CISOs, what we're hearing is they're looking for a defense in depth strategy approach to say it's not just one thing. It's not just that you stop ransomware by having, a piece of anti-malware software. What's your take on that? Is there an element of defense in depth that we should be thinking about here?
So there's no silver bullet to ransomware, because if there were, we'd all buy it and that company would just be making millions of dollars. I think, ransomware, you have to think of it as a series of steps, like you said, defense and defense. So if the ransomware event is boom, if you think right of boom, you've got 3 steps you want to do. You want to identify what your assets are and what people, where your data is. 2, you want to protect what you have. And Kevin, that's where you spoke about, how do you prevent phishing attacks? What are you doing to protect email? Because email is still one of the biggest attack vectors, even for ransomware. And then the 3rd step is you want to detect it once it's happening. Some of the articles out there are saying that when they come in, when they get into your network via a phishing campaign or RDP or however they get in, phishing, like I said, is still the #1 attack vector. They're in there anywhere from 3 weeks to 3 months before they start encrypting everything. So they're learning what your network is. They're, doing some burrowing and tunneling within your network. And I think, the defense in depth is protect, but I think we all need to figure out, when we look at the tech, what can we be doing? And are there a series of tools that we can be doing if someone's in your network for anywhere from 3 weeks to 3 months that we can do? And then that's where we spend the majority of our time. But I think with the headlines, the companies that are being hit with ransomware, we can't look of right of boom, which is once a ransomware attack hits, you have to have a response point. You have to be able to respond, and you have to be able to recover. And I mean, it's huge. I'm going to knock on wood. I don't have any real life experience with ransomware, nor do I want it. But we're working on right of boom right now. So we have a ransomware playbook and a recovery book. And I know if that type of an event happened, it's the CISO and someone responsible for security. There are a lot of things I need to do. The last thing that I want to be worried about is the recovery piece. So I've already partnered up with my operations team and the rest of the IT infrastructure team to say, look, if we get hit with ransomware after the event, it's really a 2-pronged event. I'm going to handle the cybersecurity piece and the containment and how did it get in and, shoring up that wall. But I need to focus my attention there. I cannot be the go-to person for recovery. So I think, is anybody involved in cybersecurity today, you have to worry about left of boom, but you can't just ignore right of boom. You at least have to have some sort of plan. I just think back to when my son was little. I think there's a fire safety week in October. And they always say, have a plan if anything happens, how you're all going to get out of the house and where you're all going to meet. I think we need to have at least that level of a plan for ransomware. You always want to do left of boom and protect it, but we all have to have a plan for right of boom. You have to have people already, knowing that, hey, if this happens, you're going to own recovery. And hey, by the way, how's recovery if it does happen? 18 months ago, Kevin, no one would have thought we'd still be working in our home. So, one of our disaster recovery is, your headquarters gets shut down due to a snowstorm or something. No one would have thought all our corporate offices would close at one time. I mean, I think that sort of woke us all up to ransomware, in that, hey, if ransomware hits, this is going to move fast. And even if you catch it right away, there's still going to be days, weeks, months worth of effort to recover. So you as a CISO can't be responsible for that recovery. So get that team lined up and be partnered with that team already.
I think those are really sage pieces of advice there. And we'll probably leave our conversation at that, but I know that in the Mass Technology Leadership Council community of CISOs, we're planning an event in the early fall, I believe, and we'll have some more details on that to go into a group discussion amongst our members about ransomware, what they're seeing, and strategies. Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time with me this morning, and we'll speak soon.
All right, thanks, guys. Stay safe.
Bye for now.
Thank you for watching Coffee With. Thank you again to our security community sponsors, Devo, Nuance, PwC, Sonatype, and Vectra, and to the Mass TLC global sponsors.